Well then, mother-in-law, I guess the shed will have to do for you. Emmy laughed, pointing to the small shed in my backyard, suggesting it as my new room. Matilda, Emmy's mother, not only failed to correct her daughter, but joined her in laughing at me. I was boiling with anger at their behavior. It was bad enough with Emmy alone, but now Matilda, an outsider, was conspiring to kick me out of my own home? I had been tolerant of their antics up till now, and all my considerations had been continuously ignored. I've had enough, I thought, and I immediately called a moving company. So I'll be moving out. What? They still thought I was joking and kept smirking. Leaving them behind, I grabbed my game changer bag and stormed out. I'm Jenna, 72 years old this year. After my son got married and moved out, I divorced my husband. Living alone in his house, a part of the divorce settlement that was once full of family life, I cherished the peace. One day I got a call from my son Trevor. He mentioned Emmy, his wife, wanted to give birth at her in-laws' place. Please, Mom, I'm swamped with work and it's tough for Emmy alone. I don't mind, but wouldn't she prefer her own parents' home? She says she wants it at my place, that's fine, right? Feeling slightly pressured, I agreed. There wasn't any inconvenience to me. However, not probing deeper into why Emmy chose my home over hers led me into a whirlwind of chaos. Hello, mother-in-law, it's been a while. Please take care of me from now on. Yes, of course, make yourself at home. I decided to offer Emmy the room previously used by my son, considering her luggage. Initially, I tried to be thoughtful to Emmy, assuming she might find some inconveniences since she just moved. However, Emmy quickly showed her true colors, beginning to constantly antagonize me. I made a veggie stir-fry for lunch. What, you expect me to eat something that plain? A pregnant woman needs all kinds of nutrients, right? I was hoping for something a bit more special. It seemed Emmy was never pleased with anything I did. From the day she moved in, she found things to nitpick. She'd complain about the meals I made, said my cleaning was too loud, and had various other grievances. I thought maybe it was just pregnancy mood swings and tried to be patient. But when she told me my footsteps were too noisy and that I should stay out of the room, it really threw me for a loop. Moreover, she used the excuse of feeling stressed in this house to go out for a walk and come back with a beer in hand. Even after numerous warnings about alcohol during pregnancy, she'd blame me for her stress and somehow turned it into my fault. You really have a knack for stressing people out, don't you, mother-in-law? I'm just doing what's normal and I haven't even said much. Playing that I'm not in the wrong card again? If you're so stressed out, it's not good for the baby. Maybe you should consider moving back to your parents' home. Emmy would frequently criticize me with a snarky tone. When I'd ask if I had done something wrong, it seemed she simply didn't like that I wasn't doing everything she wanted. She never helped with meals or chores and acted like she was some sort of princess who deserved to be waited on hand and foot. Of course, I wasn't going to entertain such behavior, which only seemed to escalate her antagonism. Oh great, it's sad for the grandchild to have a stress-inducing grandmother like you. That's when I realized the real reason Emmy wanted to give birth at our place. Her haughty attitude was something even her own parents couldn't handle. Hey, Trevor, about Emmy. Yeah, about that. Try to get along, okay? My son Trevor had a hectic work schedule and could only visit us on weekends. So I thought he should spend his brief stays bonding with Emmy. However, as Emmy's attitude got worse and worse, I couldn't stand it anymore and approached Trevor for advice. But it seemed that Emmy had already painted me in a bad light to him, and Trevor's response was pretty cold. Emmy's pregnant. Let her do what she wants sometimes. You mean it's kind to serve alcohol to a pregnant woman? I didn't say that. Just occasionally cook something she craves. Had the clueless mother-in-law perhaps suggested to her son Trevor to say that to me? Yet Emmy criticized the meal I'd prepared, considering her pregnant state as subpar. She completely ignored my consideration for her. Even when I explained that it was impossible if she didn't try to meet halfway, Trevor wouldn't listen. Anyway, Emmy's belly is big now, don't stress her out. Trevor, please listen to my side too. What's your problem with Emmy? Have you become a spiteful mother-in-law? To Trevor, Emmy's behavior probably seemed like some kind of pregnancy blues. In fact, Emmy was only calm when Trevor was around. But there was no way I could get along with Emmy, who clearly looked down on me with malice and kept trying to boss me around. Yet I was flabbergasted by Trevor's attitude, who, consumed by his work, wouldn't listen and shifted the blame onto me. Taking advantage of the fact that Trevor rarely visited due to his job, Emmy's actions, seemingly designed to trample over my goodwill, increased. Mother-in-law, there are some baby items I'd like. Really? They're a bit expensive from a brand, but maybe you can buy them as a gift from you. What Emmy showed me was a catalog for a baby stroller and crib that cost a whopping $1,000. Though I hesitated at the price, I agreed since it was a gift. I offered to buy them after the baby was born, but she insisted on getting them immediately, so I ordered them online as she requested. But I shouldn't have let her manipulate me like that. Emmy personally received the package delivery and seemed to have discussed something with the delivery person, having it sent elsewhere. Oh, did you send it to your house? If you'd told me, I would have sent it there from the start. No, that's not what happened. Emmy showed me something on her phone with a cheeky grin. At first, I didn't get it, but it looked like Emmy had sold the baby items I bought online to someone else. Why would you do that? They weren't the things you said you wanted. Well, you got the wrong items, didn't you? Please get it right next time for my cute grandchild, okay? Without even checking what was inside the delivered box, Emmy shamelessly said I got the wrong items and laughed gleefully. I sold them for a good price. What should I buy with this money? She mused out loud with a smirk, making sure I could hear. If she had received the wrong item, she could have simply returned them. It seemed she just wanted to annoy me, and she made it a point to let me know that. Seeing such a clear malice, I was at my wit's end. The final straw came about a month after she moved into our home. Hello, I'm coming in now. What? Why the sudden visit? I was relaxing in the living room after lunch when the doorbell rang out of the blue. I wasn't expecting any visitors. When I opened the door, there stood Matilda, Emmy's mother. Emmy told me she felt lonely and needed some company for the birth. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Emmy didn't mention anything. Of course she didn't. Matilda gave me a condescending smile and waved cheerfully to Emmy, who emerged from the back of the room. Without wasting any time, Emmy turned to me and made a shocking statement. Well then, mother-in-law, since you're in the way, how about staying in the shed? Excuse me? Emmy, with a grin, suggested that I use the little shed in our backyard as my room. Matilda didn't reprimand Emmy for the remark, but just laughed along with her. I don't want someone who's mean near me during such an important time as my daughter's birth. Well, then shouldn't she just stay at your place? See, this is the kind of things mother-in-law says. I don't know how they justified it, but Matilda just looked at me with pity and waltzed right into the house. I was about to complain about trespassing, but the two of them just ignored me and went on chatting. Heading into the living room, I was furious at their audacity. If it was just Emmy, maybe, but even Matilda had the nerve to barge into someone else's home and without a greeting tried to kick out the homeowner, me. Having had enough of these two who wouldn't listen to a word I said, I defiantly grabbed my cell phone and called a moving company. So I guess I'm moving out. What? They seemed to think I was joking, still laughing dismissively. But soon enough, to my luck, I managed to find a moving company. Seeing the moving truck pull up, they panicked and tried to stop me. Wait a minute, mother-in-law, what are you thinking? Well, you said the nasty mother-in-law is a bother, right? Where do you think you're going? Isn't this unreasonable? Unreasonable? Maybe reflect on your own actions first. In no time, a group of workers packed up everything in the house and started loading it into the truck. The TV, sofa, furniture, electronics, everything from the living room that Emmy had treated like her own, disappeared right before our eyes. Watching the house get emptied out, the two just stood there stunned. How are we supposed to live here with no furniture? Well, remember, I'm the nasty mother-in-law, so I don't really care. Is this how you treat pregnant women? Considering how you've treated me, I wouldn't call it human behavior. Anyway, I'll leave the rest to you two. Leaving a still loudly complaining Emmy and her gang behind, I headed towards the hotel. The luggage I had hastily removed was temporarily taken care of by the storage service, so I decided to enjoy a rare day out. For a while, my phone was flooded with calls from Emmy, but I ignored them, relishing my moment of freedom. After a relaxing dinner, I finally took a call from Trevor, who seemed to have finished his work. Hey, Mom, what's the deal? Really, Trevor, I don't remember doing anything to deserve being yelled at over the phone. It seems like Trevor had also heard some twisted version of events from Emmy. I filled him in about Emmy's mother unexpectedly barging into our home, and now they tried to kick me out into the shed. But Trevor brushed off my side of the story, insinuating that it was some fiction spun up by my cunning daughter-in-law. Emmy said you'd been mean to her all along, and she had no choice but to seek help from her mother. Well, if that's the case, shouldn't she have gone back to her own home? Why drag her mother to mine? You must have pulled some trick to stop Emmy from leaving. I felt a headache coming on dealing with Trevor's baseless accusations. Cutting him off as he went on about not understanding why I'd leave Emmy with her family, I said, looking at something I'd prepared earlier. If you're so sure about all this, you have some evidence to back it up, right? What evidence? What are you talking about? You can't possibly make your mother the villain without a shred of proof, right? All I need is Emmy's word. That's ridiculous. I was ostensibly kicked out based on such ludicrous claims. I sternly rebuked Trevor and told him to come to our house over the weekend. Intent on confronting those who painted me as the convenient villain, I decided to return home the following Sunday. Oh, have you come back so soon with regrets? As I approached our eerily quiet house, Emmy acted like she owned the place, greeting me with her typical audacity. I wondered how she was managing in our home stripped of all its furniture. It appeared that Trevor had brought in bedding and other items by car from his house. If you give back the furniture and appliances, now maybe I'll forgive you. Why should I give back what was originally mine? Showing no signs of remorse, I called over Trevor and Matilda, producing an item I had taken from our home. It was my personal video camera, which had been secretly recording Emmy's usual behavior. What's that? As you can see, it's a video camera. It captured your usual attitude quite well. With that, I pressed the play button. The sound of Emmy's voice echoed loudly in the living room, making all three of them turn pale.
Mother-in-law, are you really going to make a pregnant woman eat such poor food again today? It's a meal considering the nutrients a pregnant woman needs. I wouldn't recommend the fried chicken you always buy from the grocery store. Still, I wish you'd let me eat something better.
At first, it was just bratty conversation, but as it continued, both Trevor and Matilda were glued to the screen, watching Emmy's deteriorating behavior.
Is Trevor always working because he's an incompetent son who can't do his job? How can you talk about your own husband that way? But isn't it true?
So engrossed in attacking me, there were scenes where Emmy didn't hesitate to hurl verbal abuse at Trevor. Another scene showed her complaining about Trevor on the phone in the living room, loud enough for me to hear. Emmy desperately tried to stop the video. But Trevor intervened. Cornered by Trevor, she became flustered. What the hell is this, Emmy? Didn't you say my mom was bullying you? This isn't what it looks like. What's different? How could you say such terrible things? While Emmy, cornered by the two, was searching for a way out, I continued playing the recording. It clearly captured the conversation about the $1,000 baby item she had previously forced me to buy. Unable to stand it anymore, Emmy lunged at me, screaming loudly, "Why are you doing this? Why did you even record this? This is a breach of my privacy." But Emmy, you lied. You told me Mom was taking the money I gave you. What did you really use it for? I can't believe this. I came here to protect you from your mean mother-in-law, and you do this? I keep telling you it's not like that. I haven't done anything wrong. They kept arguing back and forth, each blaming the other. Tired of watching them justify themselves and hurl insults at each other, I raised my voice as loud as the three of them combined. Enough is enough. What's going on, Mom? This isn't about what's going on. You come into someone's house, do as you please, and without evidence you accuse them. Shouldn't you apologize to me first before defending yourself? I'm sorry, Mom. Mrs. Jenna, I truly apologize. Why should I? If you think you did nothing wrong, should I let others watch this and decide? I apologize. Watching the three of them finally understand the truth and realize their mistakes, I felt a sense of relief. A few days after the confrontation, I heard that Emmy decided to give birth at her parents' house. Apparently, Matilda had only heard Emmy's side of the story and was furious, saying, "My daughter has embarrassed me." As a result, Emmy wasn't pampered like she was at my place and was going through a tough time with her pregnancy. As for Trevor, he was furious at Emmy for deceiving him and was considering divorce. Though it wasn't really my place to get involved, I was taken aback by the call I received from Trevor under the guise of seeking advice. "I'm thinking of getting a divorce and living with my kid. What do you think?" What do I think? First off, how do you plan on managing that with your busy work schedule? I was thinking Mom could help us out a bit. You've got to be joking. That's a hard no from me. Trevor, seeming to have never expected my refusal, persisted. It's your cute grandchild, you know. I held my head in exasperation at Trevor's convenient argument. Oh, you mean the grandchild of the son who doesn't listen to his mother and the daughter-in-law who tried to defame someone with lies? Don't talk like that. The child isn't to blame. You didn't call me the nasty mother-in-law, right? With such a grandmother, you'd be worried about what she might do to her grandchild, wouldn't you? Seeing my intentional spite, Trevor realized any further arguments would be in vain and backed down. With the matter settled, I promptly ended the call. It's true, the child who's about to be born isn't to blame, but I'm under no obligation to care for them. I decided to decline promptly, not wanting to get involved with Trevor or Emmy again because of the grandchild. However, maybe I could send some sort of gift. The $1,000 I was made to spend on baby items by Emmy was later refunded to me by Matilda. With that money, I decided to replace the sofa that Emmy had taken over, which had left a bitter memory. After getting rid of some furniture and cleaning up, I returned to my home, now refreshed and back to the peaceful life I used to have.